Coming up, we review all of the action from yesterday in Major League Baseball. This is Locked On Now MLB.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now MLB, local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our Locked On MLB hosts here. They're ready to recap all of the action from yesterday in baseball, but we start off with our biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Giants don't just beat LA, they sweep LA, and they only allow 4 runs in the series in the process. Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. That was much needed for the Giants in so many ways, and a lot of things kind of have normalized in a way. Like, we started to see less kind of lucky, fluky hits against the Giants and more hard hit balls right at people, and we saw the bullpen come through and be clutch and get that big out, just something they haven't been able to consistently do all season. And really, this is some of the best baseball they've played, tight, close games and coming out on top against that Dodgers team. The bullpen, I mean, saying they were good and clutch doesn't even really tell the story. In the second game, I mean, the Dodgers just had the Giants on the ropes multiple times. Harleen Garcia came through, Camilo Doval came through. The bullpen has been fantastic, and the hitting did just enough, and Austin Slater's defense in center field today was great, and 2 home runs, solo homers in the first inning for the Giants in the finale, held up. That was the final score, 2-0. Giants' first shutout of the year came at a good time. So hopefully the Giants can carry this into their next series against Kansas City, one of the worst teams in baseball. So we'll break it all down about the Giants sweep on tomorrow's Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
The Guardians take 3 out of 4 from the Athletics. Could have easily been 4 out of 4, but 5 out of 7 wins on a homestand. 3 games out of first in the Central. Currently third in the wild card race in the American League. On top of that, the second year in a row, this is a team that has the youngest roster in baseball. With the addition of Gavin Williams to the MLB pipeline top 100, they also have the most top 100 prospects in baseball. A young wave of talent is leading this team with players like Andres Jimenez, Stephen Kwan, Oscar Gonzalez, all playing very well. But in terms of those prospects in that prospect pool overall, we haven't even seen any of the top players yet. So the things are ascending. This is a fun team to talk about. It is a very fun team to watch. This is a team on the rise. Do yourself a favor, make sure you're checking out the Guardians and Locked On Guardians every day for more content on this exceptionally fun young team that is way ahead of schedule right now.
The good news is that the Red Sox had a very successful weekend, a very successful West Coast road trip, and they won the series against the Seattle Mariners. However, the bad news is that Garrett Whitlock and Nate Eovaldi both went on the IL. Hey, it's Lauren from Locked On Red Sox, and the Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Seattle Mariners this weekend to wrap up what seemed like a very, very long West Coast road trip. A lot to break down, a lot of positives to take away. However, with Eovaldi and Whitlock, 2 starters now on the IL, there's a lot of questions about who will start the next few games. Jake and I will break all of this down for you on Monday's episode of Locked On Red Sox.
The Mariners' streak of 4 consecutive series victories has been snapped with a 2-0 shutout loss to the Red Sox on Sunday. This is Ty Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast. The Mariners had the 5 hardest hit balls in this game, but only one of them resulted in a hit. That was their only hit of the day. So lo and behold, they get shut out. But that should not overshadow the fact that Robbie Ray was very, very good in this ballgame. It was his best start in a Mariners uniform thus far. He goes 7 scoreless, strikes out 4, walks just 1, and that 2-seamer that he reintroduced down in Houston was really working for him. We'll be talking about that and more on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Mariners. Be sure to check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you then.
Coming up, we'll have more from yesterday's action in baseball. This is Locked On Now MLB. Today's edition of Locked On Now is brought to you by Built Bar. They're the best tasting protein bars on the market. They're all made with 100% real chocolate, so they taste great. They're high in protein, but low in fat, low in sugar, and low in carbs. And now you can also check out one of their newest products, Built granola bars as well. If you head over to built.com, you can use our promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off of your order. Just make sure you put in that promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off of your order at built.com. Welcome back to Locked On Now MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Now we continue our look around the league.
Let's go around the league.
Well, it certainly wasn't a great start to the weekend for the Orioles, but they finished strong, winning the final 2 games of the 4-game set in Kansas City to split 4 with the Royals this weekend. Connor Newcomb here, host of Locked On Orioles, and specifically that Sunday win, 10-7 for the O's over the Royals. Listen, big offensive output by the Orioles. They got a big lead early, hit 3 solo home runs in the first 2 innings of the game, and it was one of the O's best offensive days of the year. 10 runs, 15 hits. I mean, they look really good at the plate in this game, but the bullpen tried to squander the lead. They led 10-3 in this game in the 7th, let the Royals fight back. Kansas City even got the tying run to the plate in the 9th, but Cionel Perez, with his first career save, gets the big out in the 9th to give the Orioles the victory. And hey, this weekend looked really bad early, so it was nice to get a series split. And now the O's can go to Toronto and try and start a winning streak on Monday night. But I'll have all the recap of all the action of the entire weekend series between the O's and the Royals on Monday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
If I would have told you the New York Mets were going to go 5-5 playing a 10-game West Coast trip against 2 great teams and the Dodgers and Padres and an Angels team that was previously good but was also due to win coming off a historic losing streak, I think any reasonable Mets fan would take it. And that's exactly what this team was able to do over the past week and a half. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets. I'll be breaking down a great series victory over the weekend on tomorrow's show. We'll be talking about how Pete Alonso continues to prove how vital he is. Taijuan Walker, a double-digit strikeout performance, did a great job pitching in those shadows today. So we're going to go through all of that and more on the latest edition of Locked On Mets.
Well, it has been a roller coaster of a weekend if you are an Angels fan. What's going on, everybody? It's John from Locked On Angels. And after we snapped our losing streak on Thursday due to some heroics from Shohei Ohtani and Andrew Velasquez, we had to take on the best team in the National League in the New York Mets. And we took 1 game from them, but unfortunately we dropped Friday and Sunday's game. On Saturday, Jared Walsh hit for the cycle. Mike Trout had 2 home runs. Shohei had a home run. Andrew Velasquez had a home run. And so we were riding high on that coming into Sunday's game. But unfortunately, we were not able to get the win on Sunday. Taijuan Walker, who has not had a great strikeout rate this season, struck out 10. The Angels helped him out a ton in this game. On the other hand, Patrick Sandoval had a good outing. He went 6 innings strong, 2 runs, and he had a lot of strikeouts as well. In fact, he had 20 swings and misses on his stuff. His changeup continues to look good, and Patrick Sandoval continues to look good. However, even though we had a bit of trouble for the Mets in the 8th, we had 2 on with 2 out, and Edwin Diaz was in, and he struck out Jared Walsh because he throws that slider at 90 miles an hour, and then he ramped it up to 102 on Jared Walsh, so that sat him down, and unfortunately, we were not able to come back. So we dropped it 4-1. The Angels have an off day on Monday. Shohei Ohtani did not play on Sunday, so he got 2 days off in a row, which is much needed for a guy who's pulling double duty. We are going to be heading up the 5 to take on the Dodgers on Tuesday and Wednesday, and Mike and I are going to talk about it all on Locked On Angels, and we're going to celebrate finally snapping that losing streak last Thursday. So we hope you'll join us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube.
That's all for today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.